to make more money. Now think about that. President of the United States of America. But then again, it doesn't surprise me, he wouldn't do anything unless he could make more money. Not a joke. Everything to him is about how do you help yourself. Folks, look, the people of this nation have suffered and sacrificed for 9 months, none more so than our doctors and our frontline healthcare workers. And it's the president questioning their character and their integrity, their commitment to his fellow Americans. The president questioning that? It's a flat disgrace. And then last night, Trump said he's going to fire Dr. Fauci. I got a better idea. Let's fire Trump and I'll hire Dr. Fauci. Look, the president has waved the white flag of surrender in this virus. I'll never do that. His chief of staff said last week, we're not going to control this virus. We're not going to control the virus. The first step to beating the virus is defeating Donald Trump. Look, folks, if we didn't know this was happening, and somebody made a movie about this 5 years ago, you'd think it was all crazy. But it's real. It's real what's happening. Donald Trump, by the way, keeps telling us what a great jobs president he has been, how many jobs he's created. Well, I was just with President Obama in Detroit and Flint, Michigan, my buddy. It was great to be with a president with real character, a president respected around the world, a president our kids could look up to. But did you know President Obama and I helped create more jobs in the last 3 years of our administration than Trump did in the first 3 years of his, even before the pandemic hit? Did you know Donald Trump is going to be the first president in 90 years who's going to finish with his 4 years in office with fewer jobs under his leadership than when he started as president? And black unemployment remains too high. Too many black businesses are shuttered for good. Black-owned businesses are shutting down twice as fast as other businesses. And business communities of color have shuttered because they didn't get the help, the money that Congress had passed. Congress passed over $2 trillion. You know the first thing the president did? He fired the inspector general, was supposed to follow where the money went. And guess what? Minority businesses, small businesses, they didn't get the help. It went to the Mar-a-Lago crowd, not a joke. His wealthy friends. He fired the inspector general. You know, he sees the world from Park Avenue. I see it from Scranton. I see it from where I grew up. I see it from here in Pittsburgh. Wall Street didn't build this country. Working people built this country. That's always who built the country, the middle class. And unions built the middle class. Folks, I believe we should be rewarding work, not wealth in this country. You all realize that just since the pandemic started, the listed billionaires in America made another $300 billion? Not a joke. $300 billion they made in the middle of the pandemic. What's going on here, folks? Well, I got a plan. And under my plan, I commit to you, no one making less than 400 grand is going to see a penny in taxes raised. But for a change, the wealthiest and the biggest corporations, 91 of the Fortune 500 companies pay zero in taxes after making billions of dollars. Well, guess what? Under a Biden administration, they're going to start paying their fair share. Why should a firefighter, an educator, a nurse, a steel worker pay a higher tax rate, and this is the God's truth, a higher tax rate than the super wealthy? And by the way, why should you pay more taxes than Donald Trump? I released 23 years of my tax returns. I had the dubious distinction of being listed as the poorest man in Congress for 36 years. And then when I got elected vice president, it said it's probable no man has ever assumed the office of vice president with fewer assets than Joe Biden. I assume they weren't speaking about intellectual assets. They could have been, but who knows? But look, here's my point. Trump, and the only taxes that we've been able to find out through the New York Times, the 1 year he paid $750 in taxes. Trump keeps talking about corruption. When's the last time you heard of a president having a secret bank account in China? Which he did, we just found out, where he paid 50 times more tax in China than he did in the United States. Every time he starts talking about corruption, I say, release your tax return. What in the hell are you hiding? What are you hiding? Not one. Anyway, I won't get into it. Look, we're going to act to protect health care. Trump and the Republicans just jammed through a Supreme Court nomination. You know why they did? To try to destroy the Affordable Care Act. Well, if they get their way, 100 million Americans will lose the protections for pre-existing conditions, including more than 5 million people here in the United States. Here in the state of Pennsylvania. Over 100 million in the United States. Millions of black Americans will be left uninsured and denied health coverage because of pre-existing conditions. And there are more pre-existing conditions in poorer communities than there are in others. Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. I think it's a right. Look, I'll not only restore Obamacare, I'll build on it. You can keep your private insurance. If you like it, you can choose Medicare like public option. I'm going to increase subsidies to lower your premiums, deductibles, out-of-pocket expenses, out-of-pocket spending, surprise billing. I'm going to lower prescription drugs by 60%, and that's the truth. But by the way, how are you going to do it, Joe? Because those wealthy people are going to start paying their fair share. It's not about punishing everyone, it's about being fair. We'll make sure the protections for people with pre-existing conditions remain. And meanwhile, Trump publicly said, if he's reelected, he's going to defund Social Security payments. The actuary at Social Security Department said if he does that, that will eliminate Medicare by 2023. After all the people rely on Medicare. It's not going to happen, by the way. We're not going to let it happen. But that's his plan. So go home and tell your grandparents and parents we'll protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, which he won't do. And finally, we need a vote now to deliver some racial justice in America. Look, the season of protest has broken out all across this nation. Protesting is not burning and looting and violence. That can't be tolerated, it won't. But those protests are a cry for justice in the name of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, Walter Wallace Jr. They're not going to soon be forgotten. They're not going to be forgotten by me, not by us, not by this country. They'll inspire a whole new wave of justice in America. When I met with Floyd's family, he has a little daughter who survived him. She's 6 years old. And I knelt down and I talked to her. I started to talk to her. You know what she said? She looked at me and said, Mr. Vice President, Daddy going to change the world. Daddy's going to change the world. Folks, the country is ready. The country is ready. But not with Donald Trump as president. Now he wants us to believe so much he's done for black Americans. You might have seen the debate I had with him. I was standing next to Abraham Lincoln. He said, not since Abraham Lincoln has anyone done as much for the African American community as I have. I turned to him and asked him, Abe, he got offended. He got offended. Look, Pittsburgh, honk if you think his commitment of having done more for the African American community than Abraham Lincoln is true. Honk your horn. Silence. You got it, man. Pittsburgh, honk if you think it's a bunch of malarkey. He's lying. You got it. Look, the truth is Donald Trump has done more to harm black America than any president in modern history. This is the same man who started the birther movement against my buddy Barack Obama. This is the first man, this is the man who, when the first black woman running for vice president, he looks at her and he calls her a monster. Oh yeah, man. And remember on stage with him when I asked about the Proud Boys, that racist group of white supremacists? I said, would you deny them? He turned and he said, I'm going to tell them to stand down and stand by. When in God's name did you ever expect American president to say, who refused to denounce white supremacy, doesn't believe systemic racism is a problem, and won't even say Black Lives Matter? Black Lives Matter. And we're going to work to deliver real police and criminal reform, justice reform. We know what true justice is all about. It's not only about a system, criminal justice system that's fair, but it's about being able to build wealth, jobs, homes, families. Folks, we're in a situation where, think about it, how many people you know working 2 jobs and still being in poverty? We need a national minimum wage of $15 an hour for everybody, period. Honk if you agree with me. Honk if you agree with me. My proposal for first-term home buyers, first-time home buyers, I promise you, are going to get a $15,000 down payment for their first home. Honk for new capital to start businesses, because black entrepreneurs are equally successful as any other entrepreneurs, but they can't get access. That's why Barack and I started a program to give $1.5 billion to local small business associations to lend money. That brought $30 billion off the sideline. Well, I've changed that to $15 billion, and we're going to bring $150 off the sideline. Look, in addition to that, think about this. Education. Education is the key to movement. Well, guess what? They're going to be free college education for state universities when I'm your president. I'm going to triple funding. And by the way, we can afford this, I promise you. I'm going to triple funding for Title I schools so a child can get a good public education no matter what their zip code is. Allowing every 3-, 4-, and 5-year-olds to go to school, not daycare. That increases by 58% the prospects that child will go all the way through 12 years. And honk, if you agree with me, I'm going to invest $70 billion in HBCUs and minority-serving institutions. For real. Institutions so future generations of black students can continue to get the very best education. Folks, Pennsylvania in 2008 and 2012, you placed your trust in Barack and me. Now in 2020, I'm asking for your trust again in me and Kamala. And by the way, she is one smart, bright, tough woman, man. I'm so proud she said yes. Look, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I will govern as an American president. That's the job of a president, the duty to represent everyone, everyone. And you too have a duty. If you haven't already voted, to vote tomorrow. Make a plan. Get out the vote. Go to iwillvote.com/PA and ask yourself, if Donald Trump is so proud of his record, especially for African Americans, why does he make it so hard for us to vote? And then remember the final words of my good friend and American hero, John Lewis, who recently died. He said, the vote is the most powerful nonviolent change agent you have in a democratic society. You must use it, because if not guaranteed, you'll lose it. Folks, please, please, here's the amazing thing. Here's the amazing thing, folks. It's about this moment in history. On the one hand, we're facing the biggest threat about who we are, what we believe, what we've seen in our lifetimes. But on the other hand, our future has never been more promising. I said it many times. I'm more optimistic about America's future today than I was when I got elected as a 29-year-old kid. And I mean it. Here's why. We're better positioned than any nation in the world to lead the 21st century. Our workers are 3 times as productive as workers in the biggest economies in the world. We have the strongest military in the history of the world. We have the most innovative entrepreneurs. We're virtually energy independent. And we have more research universities out of which every major change comes than the entire rest of the world combined. No other nation can match us. We lead by the power of our example, not just the example of our power. We're a laughingstock around the world right now. The only thing that can tear America apart is America itself. And that's exactly what Donald Trump has been doing from the beginning of this campaign. He knows the only way he can win is divide America, pit us against one another, based on race, ethnicity, national origin, religion. That's wrong. It's not who we are. Everybody knows who Donald Trump is. Let's show them who we are. We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. And yes, we choose truth over lies. Folks, it's time to stand up and take back this democracy. We can do this. We're better than we've been. We can be our best when we're the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Go vote. We can get this done. I promise you.